And we are currently tracking the impact of rain and storms moving into central Indiana tonight.
So you can see where it's hitting right now on our live radar. We start in the Weather Center tonight with our Angela Buckman looking at whether or not there's the potential for what we see there on radar, these storms to become severe.
Right now, very low potential, and that severe threat is mainly across the southwestern part of the state, but we do think the main threat will center around flooding. Even across the central part of the state when we're not under that severe threat, flooding is going to be an issue, much like it was over the weekend. And what you see out to our west, those are flood warnings across the eastern sections of Illinois. Locally, no watches or warnings, but we will continue to watch radar closely. We've had a few downpours across parts of Marion County. We still have one just north of downtown. The main cluster of thunderstorms is back to the north and west in between Crawfordsville and Lebanon. And then as we travel north along Interstate 65 from Lafayette north toward Rensselaer. Monticello, you've got some storms moving in as well. Heavy rain, lots of lightning. The main severe threat for now is down to our south and west for tonight. We are under a threat of severe weather on Tuesday, and this pattern is going to repeat over the next several days. Thunderstorms, and it's going to be hot and humid. Your forecast for the week ahead in just a few minutes.
All right, Angela, we got to get straight to some breaking news tonight at 5.
It comes from Cumberland, where right now police are at the podium and they're providing an update right now on a hit and run which took the life of a little 6-year-old boy over the weekend. Let's listen in to what they have to say.
Very near 21st Street. And do you have the preliminary charges that he might be facing? It will be the level 4 leaving the scene of an accident. Obviously, the Marion County Prosecutor's Office is aware. They will do final determination on charges. So this will be a Marion County case, not
correct?
Okay.
Yes, it happened actually this building, 11500 East Washington Street in Marion County.
Can you describe how the evidence led investigators to this suspect?
Sure. We had a couple of different video sources, and then obviously we have license plate readers in the area. Piecing those together gave us a description of the car, gave us the license plate number. Through that, we were able to determine a registered owner. This owner sold this vehicle 2 weeks prior to basically an acquaintance, and he was very cooperative with that information, which again helped us lead to finding this vehicle. This vehicle is in our area often. Using those license plate readers, we were able to find it today.
Does he have any history?
He does not. Again, he's a 22-year-old, kind of brand new to adulthood.
If there's one thing you want to say to viewers watching when it comes to incidences like this,
Yeah.
particularly drivers
Sure.
beyond 22, what would that be?
You know, it's hard. I understand that they get scared. You know, he was going through some things as well that we've learned through the course of an interview with him. You know, I can't say why people do what they do. I think, again, this is a 22-year-old. He's scared. I think he realizes, with talking with him, I think he realizes the gravity of the situation. Maybe not fully yet, but it's imperative. If he would have stopped, I think this would have been a very different situation. We still would have had a life lost, but I think some responsibility would have been a lot easier to handle.
Has there been any new information as to how the boy was able to get out of his home? Any update on the time frame? I mean, how long he might have been out there until he was found?
Yeah, we don't believe it was very long. Maybe he was outside. We're still coming through some of the video in the area to see. The place where he lives doesn't have any video cameras in the area. We're looking to try to at least go backwards now and figure out how long he had been outside before he had hit Washington Street. So it's still just part of the process. We still have a little bit of legwork to do to kind of figure out the entire timeline.
Is part of that legwork and investigation any potential negligence on parents' part?
Yeah, that's something we're going to discuss. You know, parents of autism, or parents with kids with autism, you know, they kind of understand these kids are really good at skateboarding, and there's a lot of things that they can do that. I think this family has done a few things to try to alleviate that. It's still difficult, you know, again, when you have a 6-year-old who's nonverbal and is able to escape, and it's just a hard thing to live with, and it's a hard thing as a parent to try to continue to be there. You can't be awake 24/7, so.
Do you mind just going into a little bit more detail about what it was like to deliver the news to the family and the course of the investigation? And did they tell you anything about him or anything that you were able to share?
Sure.
And the impact that this has had on the family?
Yeah, you know, it's been difficult for them. It's difficult for our officers to, experience this kind of a scene as well. The parents realized he was missing before we were able to even identify him and came to the scene thinking that maybe we had custody of him. At that point, we did have to notify them that he was deceased, unfortunately. There's no really words to describe the scene of having to tell parents that their 6-year-old child is dead from an accident. Again, there's no words to describe that. It's just gut-wrenching. It's hard to deliver that message. It's hard to deal with that for them and for us. This is not something we ever want to see happen. So it's just terrible all the way around.
And we're hearing from Cumberland Police right now as we get breaking news coming just in. An arrest has been made in the case of a hit and run. A 6-year-old boy, a child, was hit in Cumberland. He is now deceased. And the police there are kind of notifying us where they are in their investigation and what happens next.
Yeah, so this happened at 2:30 early on Sunday morning. The little boy, Jari Vontae Spencer, 6 years old. It appears that in the middle of the night, he left his family home. They were unaware of that. He was hit by a car. Someone there saw him in the middle of West Washington Street, called police. Police came to the scene and found him there, but the driver of the vehicle was not there. So this was a fatal hit and run of a child. So devastating in this small community of Cumberland. Cumberland, as we know, is due east of downtown Indianapolis, just about 10 miles to the east along US 40. It's south of I-70. It's a small community. It's rural, right between Marion and Hancock County. And this is a community that has been in mourning and thinking, how could you hit a child in the middle of the night and take off? And so that's been the question that's been asked for the last 24 hours. And now we have this breaking news of this arrest today.
Yes, the police just told us that a 22-year-old was arrested. He noted that it was a young adult who was definitely afraid of the consequences of this. And they pieced everything together using license plate readers to be able to find the original registered owner of this vehicle. So clearly they're still working on this investigation. We have our crew on the scene right now asking questions, as you just heard, to Cumberland Police there. We'll continue to get updates from our reporter there. That's Ashton Hackman, who's on the scene, and he's going to bring us those updates.
Right, as our news coverage continues here through 6:30. Also tonight here developing at this hour. Festival security now getting extra consideration right now following a shooting at a church festival in Greenwood. This shooting went down on Friday night.
Jenny Runovich shows us what happened and how other summer events responding.
Summer festival season off to a violent start.
Medical's en route, multiple units, code 3. We're going to have multiple injured victims.
A dozen people caught in the crossfire Saturday of a shooting at a historic festival in Toledo, Ohio, closer to home in Greenwood.
And then all of a sudden I hear I think 5 gunshots and everyone starts screaming.
Gunfire at a church festival Friday. Police say an argument led to a 16-year-old pulling a gun, firing multiple rounds, and shooting another teen in the foot. A fairgoer captured the moment. Police took the young suspect into custody. Charges expected soon.
It was kind of like a reality check, honestly.
It's a sobering reality for all outdoor festivals, how to keep families safe. Indy Pride tells 13 News they partner with IMPD, have an emergency action plan, even monitor online chatter for any potential danger. Holy Rosary Church is upping security for this weekend's Italian Street Festival.
It's the number one thing that we consider. It's unfortunately the reality of having a public event right now.
The church works with IMPD, the Archdiocese, and a security service. Safety plans just got expanded because of the violence in Greenwood.
I reached out to that service this morning and already kind of increased the level of officers that we would have, just because I think it needs to be done.
The celebration of food, faith, and family has physical protection too.
The entire perimeter of our event is encapsulated with temporary 6 to 8 foot fences. We have 3 points of entrance. Those are manned by security officers and festival staff.
What about a gun-free zone? Festival leaders are considering it.
We've never had a specific written policy where we place at the entrances, this is a gun-free zones. It's a conversation we'll have with the Archdiocese this week, and we will do the thing that keeps people safe.
Safety at the center of summer fun. In Indianapolis, Jenny Runovich, 13 News.
A Zionsville town councilor is now being sued, accused of taking advantage of a woman with dementia to get the deed to her home.
Our Jenna Webster was in that Boone County courtroom today as a judge considered the case. Joining us now live with the allegations, Jenna, that are really disturbing.
Yeah, they are pretty disturbing if you read the claims in the lawsuit. Actually, Sarah Sampson, that town councilor, her attorney today called them the most salacious allegations he's ever seen. Now, this lawsuit, at the center of it all is this Zionsville property. The family of 85-year-old Carolyn Pennington says she was not of sound mind to sell to Sampson because of her dementia. The lawsuit says this home and the property on Ford Road has been in the family for 150 years, and they say Pennington wanted to keep it in the family. Attorneys argue Sampson, Pennington's neighbor, wanted to buy the property for years. They say in April, Sampson removed Pennington from her senior living facility, and during that time, she named Sampson as the trustee of her trust. Then, a week before she died, Pennington signed a deed selling the property to Sampson while in the hospital. The family argues Pennington was not of sound mind, could not sign those documents, and Sampson took advantage of her. They allege Sampson prevented them from seeing and speaking with Pennington, and Sampson also allegedly did not tell them she even died until 2 days later. Sampson herself did not testify. She told me afterward she and Pennington were very good friends. You'll hear in her own words coming up tonight at 6. But now a Boone County judge, there is a temporary injunction right now until June 22nd. That was extended today to the 22nd. But he'll have to decide if he'll issue a preliminary injunction, as the family is asking for Pennington's grandson to be able to take control of the property.
A lot to unfold there. All right, Jenna Webster reporting for us live tonight. Thank you from Boone County. Well, this was a very busy weekend for Indiana Democrats.
They held their state party convention, where close to 2,300 delegates chose Bo Bai as the Democratic nominee for Secretary of State. 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker is here with what comes next. Hi, Emily.
Hi, ladies. Yeah, you know, today Bai was back on the campaign trail for the first time as the Democratic nominee. I sat down with him to talk about his victory, the road ahead, and the field of candidates he'll eventually face in November.
On day one on the campaign trail as the Democratic nominee for Secretary of State, Bo Bai says he's thankful.
I allowed myself about 24 hours off yesterday, and we're back on the campaign trail hard today. So just very thankful for their support and hopeful for some change and progress in our state.
Bai's talking about the 60% of delegates who chose him Saturday as the nominee over Blythe Potter.
Bo Bai, 1,385 votes.
Now the attorney and United States Marine sets his sights on defeating whoever Republicans nominate at their convention in less than 2 weeks. Incumbent Secretary of State Diego Morales enters the convention facing questions over controversies that have dogged his tenure, with some prominent Republicans urging him to step aside. Bai says no matter who Republicans choose, Morales or one of his 3 challengers, his message will be the same for Hoosiers heading into the November election.
This office, which has been infested with corruption, insider dealing, and waste, needs to be changed. And so that's why my first priority when we win this election, hopefully in November, will be to open an independent audit of the office to rein in the corruption and the insider dealing. Regardless of what political party you come from, we cannot tolerate that in our state government.
A Republican may not be the only challenger Bai faces in November. Coming up tonight at 6, we're going to hear from a political science expert about how a third candidate on the ballot could really change the calculus of this race and who could possibly benefit if that happens.
All right, it is heating up, Emily.
It is. It's an interesting race.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about the other side. The Republican convention is coming up. It features incumbent Secretary of State Diego Morales and challengers that include Knox County Clerk David Shelton, conservative activist Jamie Ritenour, and congressional staffer Max Engling. That convention set for Allen County, June 19th and the 20th in Fort Wayne. We will be there and provide coverage for you on both days here on 13 News.